Man, it was fun doing like research on you. I tell you what.
Well, what are we talking about?
There's a lot to talk about today, man. Like you guys are in for a treat. So here's how I want to start because there's a lot of places we can go.
Okay.
You've trained companies like Tesla, BMW, Rolls-Royce. You started in retail at age 19, worked your way up from the floor to the boardroom. You're an accomplished filmmaker, and you claim Gen Z is the hardest working generation.
Got some pushback for that, but
So
yes.
we're definitely going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Frank Ziede, pronounce that right?
You did.
CEO of Common Ground Consulting. Welcome to the Founder Talk.
Thanks, man.
Podcast.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, good to have you here, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this first.
Yeah.
I think when I hear the words, you've coached Tesla, BMW, and Rolls-Royce on how to create better customer experience.
Yeah.
What problems did they bring you in to help solve for?
I mean, the heart of what we're brought in for most of the time in any training capacity, there's always this content side. There's always this stuff like the inanimate object in the car and how does it work? But there's also the human side, the interpersonal skill side, customer experience, employee experience, leadership skill sets. And I started my career in the first maybe 40% on the product side, but then it shifted to the person side. And that's been the last, 18 years, I don't know, something along those lines. So that's what we're always trying to solve is how do we generate great employees who make an experience come to life.
You kind of realize as you go through the product stuff, the process stuff, everything else, that it really comes down to people anyways.
Yeah,
right?
And those things are necessary. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
You could be the nicest employee and be so super sweet, but if you don't know anything about the product, you're really nice. Can I talk to somebody who knows what the hell they're doing?
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people think that on the scale, this inanimate object stuff is the most important thing. And it is crucial. You have to have it, but it's sort of the price of admission. The people stuff is what everybody's looking for.
Yeah. So what specifically would they bring you in for? Like, what would they tell you? Hey, we've got this problem.
Yeah.
Like, what was a common theme?
I don't know if it's a specific problem, but they're always looking for continuing education, always looking for ways to keep giving their employees in an ever-changing automotive world more and more information, but at the same time keeping them up to date on, I just have this conversation with a couple of friends in the last couple of weeks about what is luxury. And if you ask a 20-year-old what is luxury and a 70-year-old what's luxury, two very different definitions. And so we're trying to create a 20-year-old with 20 years of experience. And it's not easy, but that's what every brand wants. And I don't care if they sell microphones or laptops. They want them to know what great customer service is, know what great, interpersonal skills are, and know all the product, but they need fresh recruits every single day because every business has turnover. And so we're always just trying to make the employees, dip them in a little bit of the brand chocolate, have them walk and talk and feel like the brand, but then understand, what I really call the secret sauce. Ask the right questions, truly listen to the answer, deliver exactly what the customer wants, the way the customer wants. And that's it. Start there and then move forward.
How do you land a customer like Tesla? Like, how does that? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because you hear that, that's like the biggest company you could, you know what I mean?
It was a long time ago. It was over a decade ago. But
still, you've won consistently big cut. Like, you've worked with a lot of big brands.
Yeah.
Brought me this here today, which I appreciate. BMW, right? Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Very cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I collect a ton of
Super
BMW and Mini Hot Wheels because I train them for them so much. And I give these out. And it's a small reminder to me about how much people love brand.
Yeah.
Because if I walked in there with no offense, but a Chevy, Tahoe Hot Wheel, people would be like, oh, thanks. But if I bring in a BMW 2002, chrome to Hot Wheel, they're like, I will do anything to get that toy.
Yeah.
But it's all of that journey has just been all word of mouth. It is truly who you know. The only reason why I'm talking to you is because I knew John and John knew, Christina, and then it's all of that. So when I worked for Mini, I was one of the first 2 U.S. trainers for Mini in the United States, which was relaunched in 2002 after being in the U.S. for a long time. And a guy I trained there ended up becoming a manager, then left and ended up being on the Tesla team. And he tried to sort of position me and a training company that I knew to be the trainers. Met Elon. God, what was
Elon?
it? Yeah, it was. How long ago was that? 20 years? It was before anything other than the Tesla Roadster. That was the only car that they had.
Wow.
It was at the Detroit Auto Show. It was a quick 10-minute meeting just to sort of scope us out. And then they decided to not go with an automotive training company. They wanted somebody from the software field, which I totally get. And so one of those people that was on that first initial team, he just was like, hey, I want you to come in, and I know who you are, and it's all reputation based. And that was a couple of events in the United States and one in Europe. But like I said, it was like 20 years ago. But he went on to Volkswagen, and then he went on to another company. And somebody else I know here, I was just on the phone with driving here. He was at Mini and then went on to Porsche, then went on to, I think, Polestar, and now he's at Subaru. Shout out to Max. Nice. It's kind of just people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. Yeah. And so it's all relationship. Yeah. You know?
Did you get to have a conversation with Elon at all?
Yes. Yeah, short, quick, to the point.
What was he like?
Quiet, quiet. And I'm definitely not a fan of where he's at now, but it's like, great. He wants to do what he wants to do. That's fine. But it's just, it was wild to be on the sort of ground floor of that. At that time, we were at the Detroit International Auto Show. Man, their booth was really small. It was
you had invested in the stock back then. Boom!
It was a set of air walls in a really small sort of conference room, and it was a referral from my friend who was, I think, one of the first 100 employees of the company. And he was like, hey, I'll set up the meeting. And we met, and we thought it all went great. And then, they went in a different direction, which is fine, which is great. But then it came back 10 years later that he called me up, and my friend at the company, shout out Dustin, and he was like, we need some training. And so I helped him sort of develop really interpersonal stuff, leadership, culture-based stuff. And then the US team liked it. One person was there from the UK, shout out Tim, and Tim brought me to the UK. And I think what I'm realizing, and just having this conversation with you, is I just need to have a lot of gratitude for a lot of people who whenever they think of something, they're like, we should call Frank. And I'm like, thank you very much for calling me. So and I try to do that too. It's a business of referrals. It's a game of trust where everybody's just trying to help everybody keep going, moving forward.
So what advice would you have to founders out there right now who want to get into big customers or unlock great opportunities as you have? Because you've been super consistent. There's something that you're doing that other people are not doing, whether it's relationships or whatever it might be. Yeah. What advice would you have to founders that want to, create better relationships and get into some of these key accounts and create that referral machine? Because a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah. I would think before the founder thing, I think what has helped me has been low maintenance work a lot, high maintenance work very little. So it's just be flexible, be adaptable, and try to have as little ego as possible. That is not humanly possible. All of us have ego, but that's sort of what's helped me. It's just I'm here to serve. I'm in. I just want to, thank you for the call. How can I help?
I sense that the moment you walked in the door.
Okay.
Honestly, seriously. Before even the gifts, but the gift thing was like an additional layer of the cake. Sure. I just could feel the energy of like, oh, I'm here to help. What can I do? Man. And we had problems with the audio before this. Sure. Like, thankfully we figured it out, but I just got the sense that you were just like here to help and serve and be grateful.
I just don't understand ungrateful people. I don't understand critical people. Yeah. Like, who in the hell are you to try to complain? Something's gone wrong, or you have to wait an extra 5 minutes. Great. Relax. I think there's something in the Tao or like Buddha that's easy is the way for those who have no preferences. And so it's like, if I don't have some sort of preferred way of things and I just go with the flow, quote unquote, it seems to work out a lot better.
Were you always like that?
I think so. I definitely am wiser as I am older, and realized that when I was younger, I was definitely more egotistical, but it was rooted in a place where I was insecure. Yeah. So I was always trying to win everybody's approval and attention. And, but I see people who are young now who have that, and I want to say to them, hey, don't let your ego drive those things, or don't try to talk the most in a room. Try to be a better listener. And I realized that at 20, they're not going to hear that.
That's right.
And they can't. And I probably didn't even get that until I was over 40, and now I'm over 50. And it's like, it's that sort of, not curse, but, catch-22, that when you're young, you have youth and exuberance and passion and excitement, but you lack wisdom. But as you get older, you have the wisdom, but you lose a little bit of that enthusiasm and passion. You have to find that little sweet moment there. But the advice to founders, it's very much like what's on your shirt.
I am the content.
You
guys can't see it.
You are. And for the last 2 years, I leaned in hard on creating a content story. And then I heard from another guy named Al Kutri, who's with a company called Automotive State of the Union. I was trying to explain to him, I'm doing podcasts and this. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're trying to do social proof. And I was like, what the hell is social proof? And it's proof to everyone else in society that you're not a weirdo, that you actually have something to say, and you're consistent in what you say. So I think if you're trying to be a founder or a CEO and bring something to the table, how are you different? Is it authentic and genuine? And how do you help?
Frank, I think that's your superpower.
What's that?
Just not knowing you for very long here, but I just like that to me is at minimum one of your superpowers, which is your ability to show up and have a attitude of optimism, an attitude of gratitude, and then a serving mentality. I think that it sounds like, well, yeah, I guess I can just go do that. But very few people really live that. And I think it makes sense why you have all these great relationships now. Seriously, because I can see, I'm like, what about Frank? It's like, are all these people flocking to? Because you can say like, yeah, I made a relationship, then they moved here. But I'm telling you, most people don't have those connections and people don't keep reaching out to them and thinking of them. Wow. But I see now you've planted all these little seeds in a what seems like a very genuine way, but you've just showed up to serve. You've been flexible. You've been grateful. Hey, it's cool. Everything's good. There's a problem. Yeah. And I think that's what's come back to you in a lot of ways. I'm sure there's other things, but that's what I see.
I don't. In 10 minutes together. You for 10 minutes, yes. But I like you very much.
I like you too, man. I appreciate it.
That's very generous of you and very nice. And I guess I have been naive to the idea that people don't have referrals like that. That's not been my experience. So that's an eye opener for me that not everybody has those sort of continual people thinking of them.
Yeah.
I definitely remember like COVID is what slapped me in the face. Like my job is to be in front of people in a hotel room, typically 20 to 25 people at a time who are all from the United States, all across the country, sometimes Europe, in a hotel setting for 8 hours a day for 3 days in a row. So COVID was like, yeah, your job ceased to exist.
Yeah.
And so for 2 years, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I thought I was like, I'm going to go work at Costco and deliver groceries.
Wow.
It was terrifying.
Just living on savings or what?
Yeah. It was, what we started to pull a couple of automotive manufacturers together during that time. But in the first 6 months, it was like, we need to shift training to online because everybody thinks it's 6 to 8 months. It's going to be years. You need to keep training these people. And we did. We used Zoom and we used Microsoft Teams and we helped these people do video training content like this that was somewhat engaging. And it'll never replace in-person training. No. But that's what kept us going. But that was what woke me up. And I said, I want to always do more. I want to push more. I want to be more transparent. And I don't always rub everybody the right way. I have a couple of clients who it didn't work and it wasn't there. And that's not a good or bad thing. It's just a very stoic response. Like, hey, sometimes it's not the right fit. Mm-hmm. So, but I remember taking this thing called Gallup Strength Finders. You ever heard of this?
I think I've heard of it, yeah. So Gallup's a big organization, right? Strength Finders, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a book on it too, right?
There is. Yeah. And they make you take this quiz and they bring you your 21 top strengths. And I was in Germany at the time with BMW, and I did the thing, and I was very excited to see my results. And my number one result was woo, W-O-O. And I was like, that's stupid. What are you talking woo?
Yeah,
like I'm, like woo-woo and like, warm and fuzzy. Yeah. And then I got back to the States, and one of my mentors was like, you know what woo stands for, right? And I was like, no. I thought it was just the word woo. And she's like, oh, no. And she brings me the content, and it says winning others over.
Wow.
And I was like, great.
Shocker, Frank.
I'll be woo all the time.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but that'd be my advice to, I guess, founders, because that's what this conversation is about.
Yeah.
Like, be very authentic, be very transparent, really know, shouting out to Gary Vaynerchuk, those big thing for me 7-8 years ago, be absolutely honest about what you're not good at.
Yeah.
Really tell people quickly, hey, I'd love to help you, but that is not what I'm good at, or really what my specialty is.
Yeah.
And then lean wholeheartedly into your strengths.
Yeah.
And just be like, like you're never going to get me to do an Excel spreadsheet. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But if you want me to craft a big vision for an event where people walk in one side and on the other side they come out inspired and motivated, I'm your guy. But just don't ask me to track attendance. because I won't do it well.
Was 2020 COVID
Yeah.
your toughest period in life or business?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
and what were you like back then? Were you still like the happy-go-lucky, good perspective and mindset, or were you getting down and beating yourself up?
No, like 2019 was one of my best years. 2020 had so much on the books.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I'm working on a book, and I would have never done the book if COVID hadn't happened. Because I started writing it 2 months into COVID. Because I was like, okay, this time has been set aside for me. Let me do something with this other than sit in my backyard and listen to reggae music all day with, in the sunlight. And it was wild, man. I think it was wild for everybody in many different ways, but it was isolation. There's a book out there that I just learned about called The 12-Hour Walk. So it's this thing that the author puts forth, and it says every one of us should take a 12-hour walk by ourselves. No music, no cell phone, right? You could have that on you for emergencies, but just walk for 12 hours by yourself.
That's a long walk.
And if you need to stop, you stop. Yeah. If you want to eat, you eat. But just keep walking.
Man, that'd be insightful.
And it's the isolation of that time, where you just are alone with your thoughts for that time. So that's what COVID's 2 years was my 12-hour walk.
There's something really powerful to that, and I see that like when I'm walking to the coffee shop or if I'm working out or doing something. There's times when I'm like, you almost like, for me at least, and I think a lot of people, you pull out your phone. Yeah. And it's like podcasts, music, internet, whatever, text message, social media. You can do whatever you want with it, but putting your phone away and just having some peaceful time to yourself and reflecting and getting in your own mind and thinking, wow, what's going on right now, and where am I going, and what am I doing it for? And that's really powerful. Yeah. What would be your advice to people that if you're complaining a lot and you're not grateful, and I think I find myself in this spot sometimes, as grateful as I try to be, but there's a lot of people like they complain, this isn't right, this sucks, why is this happening, that person sucks, this person's not doing this. Yeah. What's your advice to people like that?
Well, I was listening to your podcast driving here with the gentleman who's got in the flow and has ADHD. Yeah. And he was talking about, having a vision and knowing what you want to do and being so focused on it. My son also has a complex ADHD. Yeah. But I found that there's this drive in all of us, and if you don't slow down enough to recognize what you have, you're going to be constantly looking around at the things you don't. And I mean, I can't remember if it's like Buddha, I think it is, but there was something like life is suffering. And so the point is to choose your suffering. I think that's what it was when you did the podcast with him. Rob, said, it's like, if this is exhausting in this, but I'm going to choose it. So it's my version. It's exhausting in a good way. Yeah. And so if you lack gratitude, there's so many different things that you can do to stop for a second and realize. Like I travel typically in my bags with a memento mori coin, which is an old Latin phrase that I got through Stoicism from Ryan Holiday, which is remember your death. Like right now, an airplane could crash on this building and kill all of us. I don't want that, right? But if you stop for a second and just start to, and I know it's a word we bang around all day long on all these podcasts and everything, gratitude. But there's a reason for that. Yeah. Just because something is corny doesn't mean it's not true.
Exactly.
And so you have to find it, whether that's your health or your breathing or your mindset, and then start to realize how lucky you are. Yeah. I do the financial thing all the time. I think I saw if you make $50,000 a year, you're in the top 10% globally.
Really?
And if you make $100,000 a year, you're in the top 2% globally. We have no sense of what everybody else is going through in this world.
No.
I remember a picture. Spoiled. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a picture, and I can't think of the name of the river, but it's a river in India that's coated in foam, looks like bubbles. And so I was like, oh, that's cool, but it's not, because it's toxic waste that's in this river, and it's one of the most holy rivers in India, and everybody's bathing in it every single day.
Oh my God.
And then I can drink water from a can, you know what I mean, that literally
we just pulled out of the fridge, so we have a bunch more.
Exactly, and we have unlimited refrigeration,
right?
And no gratitude whatsoever on how easy that process is and how lucky we are. So
that's just like a different way to live life. I feel like, really appreciating everything. And
I stumble daily, hourly.
I catch myself sometimes, right? Being like complaining about something or pointing something out that's like, man, and I'm like, what are you complaining about? Like, there's so many, if this is your problem, this is your challenge.
Yeah.
Like there's someone that would give their left arm to have my problems right now in a third world country. So
and I don't want
to
minimize your problems.
No.
Like, we all have them.
Yes.
But it's about like level setting a little bit, bringing it back down.
Yeah.
Because if you get too worked up, Chris Bosh was in an interview one time, and he was like, when he was with LeBron and Dwayne Wade trying to win.
Yeah.
And he was so worked up, and one of the coaches came over and said, getting this excited might be the sign of an impending nervous breakdown. So you need to relax a little bit.
Wow.
And so it helped him just be like, I got to shake it off.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gratitude can do. It can just bring you back down a little bit, settle you down, and then we'll go after whatever the next problem is. Yeah.
Man, there's a lot to take away here.
Sure.
I know some people might be like, it's the fluff stuff, but really, if every founder right now were to walk out of the room that they're in, and every interaction they have from here on out, they are able to meet people with serving mentality, gratitude, like that would change the game for them. They would open up opportunities that are not there now. I just know that. And the same with your family and friends, right?
Well,
like
any founder is a leader.
Yeah.
And I could talk for days about the problems of managers and bosses and leaders. But I saw a study that just showed like ChatGPT and Google AI, they asked like, what's the definition of leadership? The number one thing that kept coming up was leading by example. And so if you're that founder and you're not willing to get in the trenches, or you're that founder and you're not willing to be vulnerable and admit that you did something wrong, or you're that leader and you're not taking responsibility or protecting your staff, like nobody wants to follow you.
Right. Yeah.
Did you see this video that just happened? You're a viral guy, and I'm sure you're on TikTok and things. Did you see the video of the woman got caught abusing dogs in the grooming parlor?
No.
It's sort of a viral news story. She is punching these dogs that she's, shaving and clipping and everything, smashing them into the wall. It's horrific.
That's terrible.
But the story behind it was what got me. A coworker saw this, knew of this, told the manager, hey, this is happening. Manager says, okay, I'll talk to the person and I'll handle it. Supposedly doesn't change anything. This person keeps doing this abuse. So the coworker videotapes it and has a camera that videotapes all of it.
Good for her.
Takes it to the police. The manager gets angry at the coworker and threatens to sue her if she doesn't take the video down immediately, and going to hold her financially responsible for all the damages that are going to happen to the business, because nobody's going to want to bring their dog there.
Because she's taking it public. She's putting it on social.
And I'm like, this is the
Why
reason.
did the manager do something about it?
Exactly.
How do you own a dog grooming place and people are punching dogs?
Yep.
And you're cool with that?
Yep. And
that would have been like, man, my mom would have punched that person in the face.
If you see the video, you want to. You get viscerally angry.
How can you hurt animal, period, just anyone, like innocent things.
But I'm sure that was a founder. I don't know if it was a chain, but if I had to guess, it was probably somebody who wanted to start a business, who believed that what we're doing can, is profitable and can help make a difference. Like that they have to be animal lovers, just whoever started the business. But then here comes the problem. They don't address the problem. Here's a person who believes in doing what's right, and you're going to chastise the person who's doing what's right.
That's crazy, man.
So like you as a founder, authenticity, vulnerability, leading by example, I think the best piece of leadership advice I ever got was taking the blame when everything goes wrong and taking none of the credit when everything goes right. And that's selfless and exhausting and thankless. But that's why you get the big parking space. And that's why you get the big office. And that's why you get the bonuses and you have the biggest portion of the stock. So
that's so well said.
We're doing all the work. You're running things.
You got to remind yourself of that every day, because it's really hard. Like, it's hard to have issues and be like, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? You got to remind yourself, that's why I'm in this spot. And when things go well, you got to praise, you got to reward. You don't get a lot of that back as a leader.
But the other one was praised publicly, but critique privately.
Yeah.
But how many businesses do you see where the leader or the founder blames their staff and everything goes wrong, takes all the credit and everything goes right?
Yeah.
Doesn't, publicly chastises an employee in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
And the praise goes under the rug with an email or a letter or a gift card.
Right.
So,
yeah. So would you say customer experience and leadership would be two areas that you are an expert in, right? That you've helped work with, BMW, Rolls-Royce, all these companies.
I hate the term expert.
Well, what would you call it?
Well,
knowledgeable.
I'm a guide.
A guide.
World.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
I saw.
Yes.
One guy, Anthony Ascione, used to work at BMW. Now he's at Car Saver. But he posted a story one time and I can't think of the author, but they did a really good job of pointing out while calling yourself the expert is dangerous. Because what does it say to the people you're talking to? You're not as smart as me. I'm smarter than you. I talk, you listen. And you're less likely to ask questions, less likely to challenge my ideas.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's problematic. I know that it's thrown around, but I like to be a guide.
Yeah, or a coach, right? Yeah.
Or a coach, a facilitator.
Yeah.
But yes, those worlds of leadership and customer experience are my wheelhouse.
Yes.
That's my gym. That's where I work.
Yes. So what is customer experience and how does it affect a founder's or a company's business and bottom line?
Whatever that customer experience is in your business or brand. It's whatever they go through, whatever they smell, whatever they touch, however they're spoken to, however they're engaged or not engaged. It is the sum of its parts. And I don't know why I'm very particular to this part of your table, but I like it evidently.
That part's good.
That's where I map it. I'm a very visual learner.
You're seeing something on there.
Yeah.
The viewers aren't seeing it, but you're seeing it.
Yeah, very visual.
Yeah.
But it's the whole embodiment of who are you.
So ice cream shop, I walk in as a customer, it's how they greet me, it's how they take my order, it's how they scoop the ice cream, it's what they say when I check out, it's how I felt when I am eating there and how I feel when I leave.
Yeah, when we're out in standard general day-to-day life, you can kind of do or say whatever you want, and you're not responsible for anybody else's happiness. That's one of the great things about the First Amendment. Like, you can say what you want, I would say, within reason. Right. But you can run down the street and be like, bananas are amazing, and nobody will care because you get to be who you are. But the moment you wear a name badge or a uniform and you are representing a business, you are wholeheartedly responsible for how your thoughts and actions make people feel.
Totally.
And this is why we have a lot of Karens and Kens, because they're at a business and the business is disrespecting them, and they're like, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be nice to me?
Yeah.
What's wild to me is this just happened a couple of weeks ago in a class in New Jersey. I was talking about, and this is so wild that you have water, I was doing a possible greeting of a customer in an automotive dealership for the first 30, 60 seconds. And it was about first word choice and tone and emphasis and all those things. And then I asked the customer in this role play, I said, can I get you a water, something to drink? And he said, yeah, that'd be great. And I said, sparkling or flat, still water. And he was like, oh no, flat's, still's fine. And I said, great, room temperature or cold? And he was like, oh, thanks for asking, room temperature. And so we were modeling for them how you can make a preferential experience feel just a little bit more like a Ritz-Carlton, even if you're at Alex's ice cream shop.
Right.
A young participant in the back of the room raises his hand in the debrief and goes, it sounds just like you're trying to tell me that I have to kiss their ass. And I was like, kinda. He thought that asking someone about their preference about water was unnecessary.
Yeah, to me, that's just serving.
That's it.
Yeah. Kissing ass is like giving somebody false compliments.
Right.
Like, Frank, you're so awesome, or this or that, and not really being truthful or genuine about it.
Yeah.
You're just trying to create a really good experience.
And he said, nobody wants room temperature. And then the heart
Some people do.
Was a class of 24 people. I was like, who likes room temperature? About half the hands went up. And I was like, I don't agree with
crazy
them.
people.
They are crazy.
Yeah.
And the one guy's like, it's better for you. I was like, I don't care.
No,
I want it cold as possible.
No, it's not. Yeah.
But it's about, so that's, preference, personalizing experience, tailoring experience. That is the new luxury. The experience economy came out with Starbucks. It pushed this idea that you can have a better customer experience and people will pay more for it. There's proof and scientific evidence to back that up.
Yeah.
So,
wow, man. So if you create a better customer experience, you're able to create probably more lifetime customer value, more revenue for the business, more referrals, which again ties back into Frank. I think Frank's done a good job with his personal brand, right? Yep. So when you go into these companies, right, like a BMW or a Rolls-Royce or a Colgate or whatever it is, what are some of the common themes that you see as problems? Like where is the customer experience broken?
Well, First, you keep saying Rolls-Royce. I consulted one time for a behavioral assessment class for a group of Rolls-Royce executives. So they're the client I've worked with the least in my life.
Okay.
But
it sounds the coolest.
It does. And I appreciate
that.
transparency, honesty.
Yeah,
it was wild
that.
though, because their world is so different than anybody else at a BMW store. The Rolls-Royce people sell so few cars every single year.
Right.
And they don't sell them probably directly to customers. They're through a vendor, or they're through their assistant or their team.
Right.
So it's a very different world. But I'm in BMW dealerships all the time.
Right. And how's the customer experience? I don't want to say broken, but where do they need help? Like what's not going on there that should be?
I think
any customer you've worked for.
The first thing would be better situational awareness. That you have to widen your gaze, open yourself up to everything you're seeing in front of you at that moment from a customer. What's their body language? What are they saying to you? Are you trying to land them on a car or a product? Or are you trying to rush them through this business, this transaction that's like the second biggest purchase of their life? Maybe slow down just a little bit. So are you able to pick up these cues and see these things around you? That's I believe, the starting block. Because then I'll say, did you see that? Did you notice what happened in the interaction? And they're like, no. They're fully unaware of it.
You shadow them first as kind of part of the process. Let me just observe how you guys roll.
It always depends. Most of the time it's a hotel training and they come to us, and we have 20 to 25 people in a room, and we'll do skills practice. We hate the term role play, because role means you're a character and you have an accent like you're able to do.
Yes. You could do a British accent for the podcast.
That's right. My name is Angus. I'm here for a BMW 3 Series. But that kind of off-puts people from a training sense. So we call it just skills practice. I just want you to be you, and I'm going to be a customer, and I just want you to greet me like you've done 10,000 times before.
Yeah.
And then we sort of dissect that, and we videotape it, and we analyze it. We're like, what was your hand doing here? I said that thing.
Why were you picking your nose?
Did you? No, nobody's picking their nose. But it's these things that I see, but only after massive exposure to those things.
Yeah, sure.
So
they're just like, oh man, I never even noticed I did that.
Yeah. It's like everybody, I think most people, but no, I have to correct my statement. Most people probably don't know how to throw a football effectively.
Right.
But if you played a little bit, you know how to throw a football. But it doesn't mean you know how to throw a spiral, or it doesn't mean you know how to do a drop. Doesn't mean you know how to, accelerate or get off your back foot. And there's nuances in every trade that if you're not aware of, I don't want to blame you. But like I said, most people don't have those skills out of the gate.
Gen Z is the hardest working generation.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
I mean, I left that podcast that last time, and I was like, because I've talked with so many, but then millennials too, they work hard. I just feel like most of the leaders I deal with are from older generations, and a lot of them come from the military or sports. And if their military is their background, it can be good, but sometimes they're like, you'll do exactly what I say, and when I say it. That training that they got was on how to kill people and how to not be killed by people.
And it was also not in the civilian world where someone can go, you know what, I'm out. Like once you're in, you're not in necessarily forever, but you're kind of in there once you get past boot camp and stuff, right? Like you got a path where it's like you kind of can't really roll out at any point without repercussions.
Yeah.
Civilian world, you don't have that control, right?
Yeah, and it's not life or death. It's not this,
exactly.
So there's more nuance. And in sports, it's like it's win or lose. We've got to win all the time. I'm like, you're going to lose sometimes.
And I think on a sports team, you're truly aligned with one very common goal.
Yeah.
Not that you can't be in a company, but it's like truly you really, like it's a really unified type thing.
Yeah. So when I say these younger generations are working harder, people from 20, 30 years ago when they were the primary workforce, they didn't have email in the middle of the night. They didn't have cell phones pinging. I mean, I've got people who are sending me videos and emails, at 1 a.m. That was not happening in generations, 2-3 generations ago. They do their thing, punch out, go home, have a barbecue, maybe do something on a Saturday. But there's so much more on the plate for the young generations of workers now. And the worst thing I can hear from leaders trying to talk to those younger people are, back in my day.
Oh, geez.
Like I want to stop them right there and just be like, shut it down. Yeah. You're losing your audience from the very first conversation.
Yeah.
And it should be more, tell me about your days.
Right.
Not my days, but what's going on and trying to be a better, more understanding leader. But that's really hard.
Is it that you think that Gen Z's work days a little bit more blended now with personal or different times, or is it that you think they actually do work harder? Because I think there's a little bit of a difference between those two things. When you
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, like most all things, my personal experience with this generation. And I'm really not great. What is the current generation now? Like, what's there's a new one.
Jim? What's the current generation? Not Gen Z, but there's a
Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha?
Yeah.
Great. They're cooking on Fortnite. I don't even know what they're doing.
Might be my kid.
Fortnite's probably even old now. It's not even popular anymore.
Yeah.
But I think like millennials, Gen Z, they're like the majority of the workforce now.
Yeah.
And there's just so much going on. And yeah, and they also, I think, coming out of COVID, realized I don't have to work for a terrible manager if I don't want to, and I can make a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I can collectively understand that I am of value to this company. But at the same time that AI is rising, and Salesforce just said they've replaced like 30% of their workload with AI, and I'm like, okay.
Speaking of AI, as you know, in a world run by AI, what do you think humans need to lean into more now than ever before?
Well, I heard somebody say the other day, I don't want AI to do my job so that I can cut the grass. I want AI to cut my grass so that I can do the job.
Ooh.
And that's what I think is the best way to think about and position this thing.
Get that humanoid robotic out there, just
or just my electric lawnmower that does its thing.
Yeah, the Roomba.
But I don't want, if AI is used to measure analytics and come up with details and handle those spreadsheets and put together the proposals and the quarterlies, I think that's great because it's very precise in those ways, but it's incredibly impersonal. There's a video of a guy on the phone with an AI from a real estate company, and he says, the real estate it's playing like it's a real person.
Yeah, which I don't think is right. I think you need to let people know if you're artificial intelligence.
I ask now all the time. Yeah. I'm like, is this a real person? And they're like, yes, I am actually a real person.
Like, you just sound like a robot. Yeah. What's the deal? Some people just do.
The last person, it was for what was it for? It was for like my doctor's office, and she was very robotic sounding and polished. And I was like, "Are you a real person?" She was, yes, I am actually. I was like, I didn't mean to offend you. No. Yeah. But this guy is on the phone with this AI, and he says, "Will you write me a dissertation on Mesopotamia?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And then it talks for 7 minutes. I'm like, that's not efficient. Wow. That's a waste of your bandwidth and your time as a company. So the problem for me with AI is the first word, right? It's artificial. I think that if people in this world want to truly set themselves apart, sharpen and increase your emotional intelligence. And I'm not saying anything new. There's been somebody 50 years ago was like, we need to be better at dealing with people.
But how do you define emotional intelligence?
I think that's a really good question. Understanding that people matter most, finding the balance between the inanimate objects and the hearts and minds that you're dealing with, authenticity, genuineness, asking a lot of great questions, selflessness. I'm going to have to define that a little bit better next time somebody asks me.
Yeah. It's a tough one to define.
But my motto for the last couple of years has been people matter most. So I think that's in 3 words or less. That's what I would sum it up as. That with you look at any great founder, those people are the glue that hold all of that together. And when founders leave a company, those companies usually drift and they go back over to this rational side and this bottom line side.
Yeah.
And great founders they're like, who cares about that stuff?
100%. Yeah.
Let's go make a vision. Let's go reshape the world. Let's show people that coffee is not just coffee, Yeah. So
that's so true, man.
I'm going to keep working on that though.
What do you think, how is AI going to disrupt coaching, consulting businesses? Because I think now we're living in a world now where people can go to ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. ChatGPT 5 is coming out here soon.
Yep.
If you're listening to this now, it might already be out.
Is it out?
ChatGPT 5 is here.
Okay.
How is it going to disrupt coaching and consulting businesses in a world where anyone can just literally go, create me a framework for this, create me a strategy for this? And we all use it to help us do our jobs better. Like even coaches and consultants, we have to. Otherwise, you'd be just wasting hours of time.
Yeah.
But where do you see the role? I've got a perspective on this. I have a funny feeling.
Tell me your perspective
I have
first.
a funny feeling it might align with yours.
Tell me yours first.
So for example, we do, we help companies build their own in-house content teams.
Great.
Content marketing, right? So instead of outsourcing to a marketing agency, we help you do it internally.
Okay.
So there's strategy with that. There's processes, systems. There's AI and automation. There's a lot of frameworks on how to create content. Mm-hmm. But Frank, what I've seen us moving more by the day is people development. We don't do social media consulting and coaching and strategy and video content. We do helping people build great teams that know how to tell a brand story, that know how to market their product or service. And that is creating a performance culture, that is establishing goals, that is knowing where people are coming from and being empathetic to what they want to accomplish outside of just their role. That's having tough conversations sometimes. That's rewarding people in public and having criticism type conversations in private.
Yep.
It's leadership. It's addressing the elephant in the room. It's a lot of different things. And I think that is the superpower of humans, especially in a world where we can have AI do a lot of the IQ type stuff, but the EQ type stuff, like, hey, we've got a person on our team that's been struggling for 3 months. Have we talked to them about what's going on?
Yeah.
Have we had a conversation of just like,
let's
hey,
go sit them down with ChatGPT 5.
You know, back in my day, we didn't have this type of problems.
Right.
We all just, but no, seriously, but knowing how to approach something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's not just like, let's fire them. It's like, well, have we talked to them about it? Have we seen, maybe there's something going on with them. Let's feel them out. Let's hear them out. Let's, see what's happening and then see how we can fix it together.
Yeah.
Do we know how to coach somebody?
Yeah.
Truly make them better. And I think that's why I'm excited about our business, because marketing agencies, they don't have that built into their business. It's, we're going to do a function for you. We're going to edit a video. We're going to write copy. We're going to post it. We're going to do an SEO, strategy. We are more like, we're going to help you build people and do the human stuff really well. And let's let the AI take care of what it can.
But let it mow the lawn while you're doing the people stuff.
That's right.
There's like 5 different things that came out of that when you were talking about it. So I'm going to try to.
Isn't that time? It's like, man, I wish I could just pause and
Yeah, it's
like,
all right.
I felt that 20 times.
I should be taking notes.
Yeah.
But did you see the story on the study about the people who were using AI versus the people who were not? So there's a recent piece of research that's circling all over LinkedIn, and it's becoming more and more. I want to say it's Harvard Business Review, but I'm not sure. But they took people who were doing essays, and they had people who were using AI, people who were using, I think, just the standard internet, and then people who were using neither. And they looked at brain scans, and the people who were doing neither, who were just from their own imagination, their brain scans were off the charts, massively engaged. Their stories were more complex. The people who were just using the straight chatbots got less and less and less engaged, and their brain scans were, I don't know what a bad brain scan is, but
not
it wasn't
good.
great.
Yeah.
And they, by the end, were doing nothing from a creative standpoint. They literally were just copy, click, and paste.
Right.
And
that's why I see people falling in that trap all the time. I can just use
problematic.
ChatGPT, but do you understand what you're creating, though?
Yep. Right. And it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not you. I've lost like the 9 things I wanted to say, but I wholeheartedly agree with all of what you're saying.
People that provide services and coaching,
Yep.
You see people just leaning in more to that, right? To the EQ, to the coaching, to the getting into the heart and minds of what is happening with human beings, because I think that's in a lot of ways the stuff that AI can't do.
Well, a coach is not supposed to be a teacher.
Right.
There was a diagram one time that we created for a course, and coaching was at the top. My good friend Josh White, who's a great facilitator, shout out Josh, he and I were trying to develop this thing, and we're like, well, what is coaching? Like, what is a coach? And he said, coaching is a diagnostic tool. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, a coach is a person who asks a lot of great questions and listens really, really well, and then asks questions of that person, doesn't give them the answer at all.
That's right.
That's the problem, first of all, with AI. AI is not going to coach you into questions. It's not going to ask you to make you think through things.
You could set it up that way, though. I could argue you could set it up that way. You could say, be my coach. I only want you to, don't give me the answers. Only make me think critically.
Okay.
So there's a little, I see what you're saying, and I
now
agree.
I have to go do this.
But also it's like,
all right.
It also is changing to the point where it kind of can do whatever you want it to, frankly.
I still feel like it's artificial, though. I feel like there's something in, call it soul or the spirit, there's something human to human that you're not going to get from a device.
I'm with you.
And that scares me. But the coaching diagnostic tool basically had this tree underneath it, and one of them was a colleague, where you wanted someone who could just commiserate with you and just be like, yeah, this is tough. You and I, we're along the same sides. The other one was a teacher, where the teacher's like, I now understand as your coach that you don't know anything about this. Let me teach you fully about those things.
Yeah.
And I think the last one was I can't think of it. I think it was like a friend or something. But it was a really great way to think about what coaching is, that you're trying to diagnose as much as possible. And through that diagnosis, sometimes the person you're coaching discovers their own answers.
That's the best.
Which is what everybody is after, everybody wants.
Yep.
Now you've got me totally spooked about AI. Now I'm just
so do you play with it a lot or not?
So I have ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I talk to it.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay. Go ask it to be a coach for you. Say, give it a model framework, right? And say, I don't want you to give me answers. I want you to coach me and ask me tough questions that make me get to the answers.
Yeah.
And here's an example of what that would look like. And say, now be my coach moving forward. And then ask it a question. Hey, I'm stuck on this problem. And be like, well, what do you think would be the best outcome what would happen if you did that?
I'm realizing I might have a bias towards AI in our conversation right now.
Well, I think it's kind of natural as a human, right? We kind of feel a little bit threatened, and I think that's kind of a normal thought.
Yeah. But I don't think people will ever go out of style.
Well, I hope not.
We've always had automated telephone systems. We've had those for 20 years. And every time I ask somebody, is anybody excited to talk to the automated person on the phone? They're like, no.
I agree, but this does feel different though.
Yeah.
Like it does feel not just like another like internet or this or that. It does feel like this is a little scary.
Yeah.
Like it's a little, it should cause a little concern.
Well, then you take the level of isolation, there's the shut-ins, the people who are, not good at social, which had 2 years of their lives sort of taken away from a social growth point. When there's a robot that's going to come in and be there, I remember there's the one guy who proposed to his chatbot. And the guy's married.
That's even stranger. What the hell, man? You shoot on me with a freaking AI chatbot?
And he asked the AI chatbot, and the wife is being interviewed on TV, and she's like, I don't know, am I missing doing something? And it's
she just tries to be a robot. Hello, chat.
What we all want so badly is somebody to talk to.
Yeah, that's
true. I've done that with my ChatGPT, and it'll play along for a while, but then I'll get like really vulnerable, transparent. It's like, I'm really struggling with depression right now. And the ChatGPT will be like, oh, mate, that's tough. Well, definitely take a walk and drink some water and get outside because sunlight's good for you. Yeah. What else can I help with? That's what it always ends with. And I'm like, I don't know if you really helped me with the first thing. So, but it's data being used to sort of be data in action.
Yeah.
I don't think that's emotion. I don't think that's, feelings and those types of things.
Yeah. I think we'll figure it out as humans,
Yeah.
Like
we don't have a choice.
We kind of always do, and we don't really have a choice.
We don't have a choice. It's coming.
It's coming fast, too. Do you have a podcast or no?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
You go on a lot of podcasts, though.
I try to.
What do you think a role of a good podcast host is to be?
Wow. It's a good question.
I'm curious from your perspective.
I think having a game plan. I always think of Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
And my friend turned me on to him, and he does 3-hour podcasts, only asks 3 or 4 questions.
Wow.
Does
that include follow-ups?
Yeah. So
damn, I'd be done right now.
well, he's a master at what we sort of teach in selling, which is drill down. So really, tell me more. In what way? How is that? Why is that? That sounds like a story. What else should I know? It just letting people keep going and sharing who they are. So I think that's part of it.
Wow.
But also coming back to, and I'm trying to do everything I can to keep coming back to your red thread.
Yeah.
This is something I learned from BMW training. There's a story of, I think it's Theseus, this warrior back in Greek or Roman times. He's going into the maze to fight the Minotaur, but doesn't want to get lost. So he takes this red thread off his cloak and ties it at the beginning of the maze, and he can go and fight and then make his way back out. So I think your red thread is that this is for founders.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to lead that piece there. But whoever your audience is, you always want to keep coming back to what the same message is. For John, it's how do you get shit done?
Yeah.
He's like, we want action in everything we're doing. No hesitation, like let's go. For you, you're trying to build a story of, hey, if I want to start something, which is terrifying to some people and exhausting for some people, but it can change their lives.
Yeah.
I
think it does go, but whether you're a host or you're the guest, it goes back to how do I bring value to the audience?
For sure.
What is in it for them? Who is the audience? How can I, make this the best possible experience? I always try to kind of extract knowledge and insights and stories from one founder and pass it on to the next.
I look at podcasts as just big audiobooks.
Yeah.
I listen to them all the time. I don't ever watch them much. I'm always listening.
Yeah, totally.
And I'll pull something out that will be a thing that helps, my next conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys pulled some things out of this one, because this is, man, I had such a great time. And I want to end with this. Your shirt says, doing the best I can.
Yeah.
What does that shirt mean to you? What does that saying mean to you?
It's from a company called the Holderness family, and they are a family that started making social media content. They won the Amazing Race, and
really?
they both have their kids have ADHD. I think the dad has ADHD. They have anxiety and depression as a household. So they make a bunch of shirts, but they made this shirt, and this is my sort of again. The isolation of COVID, the pandemic, this became my daily mantra. And I don't have a tattoo, but if I ever got one, it would be on the inside here, and it would say, I'm doing the best I can. And over here, it would say, I did the best I could. And it's just another gratitude piece to say, what does crushing today look like? Maybe I crushed that couch and crushed watching, New Girl with my wife. And that was what today was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pick myself up, and I'm going to try to do better tomorrow. This all or nothing, kill mantra of just like, I've got to be an entrepreneur and be a billionaire tomorrow. It's unrealistic, first of all, and exhausting, and, detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And what's wild is everywhere I wear it, people are like, I need that shirt.
Yeah.
I love that shirt.
It's relatable. It's like, yeah, that makes me feel good.
They're like, I resemble that shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I think
it's such an important point you make too about when you are a founder, you own your own business. You don't have to take the path that like is the traditional founder scale, raise money, do this, become a billion. It's like, and that's probably a 0.0001% ride anyways.
Yeah.
But I think as a founder, we're trapped by this, like what we're supposed to do with our business and grow it, do this, that. And it's like, is that the life that you want?
Right.
Why are you creating the business in the first place? Isn't it to support the life that you want? Or is the business now become the life and it's taken over and you don't have a life anymore?
Yeah.
And so I think like the business should support your lifestyle, not your lifestyle supporting your business.
I'll use a basketball analogy because I'm a big basketball fan. I was going and playing, and I lost a couple of games, and I hate that. I'm highly competitive. My wife said, I think she said, listen, if you knew every time you're going to go play that you would lose, would you still go play? And I was like, yeah.
That's a great question.
And it's like the question I would ask any founder is, before you're going to start a company, if you knew this company was going to fail in 6 or 12 months, would you still do it? And the answer should be yes. And if it's not yes, then you definitely shouldn't start it. Because how many businesses fail? But the question is, what did you learn in the process of that? How many companies has everybody had? And it wasn't the company because it wasn't the right time, or the market was weird. Who knows? But if you've got a vision, this is like anybody who makes a movie. Nobody knows if it's going to be a good movie. I think it's Samuel Goldwyn, from MGM. His famous quote is, nobody knows nothing. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody's going to tell you that this is going to work or not work.
No.
So just keep doing what you're doing. Show up every day.
Yeah, I think if you're not enjoying your business for the most of the time, you should reflect and understand why that is, and maybe it's time to do something else.
Yeah, for sure.
Frank, this was an absolute pleasure.
You too, man.
You've inspired me, man. Like leaving this conversation on the stuff that we talked about makes me think about how I show up for me, my team, my family. Like really, really cool stuff. I hope you guys took a lot out of this. I appreciate you guys all listening and watching to this. Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about what you do? Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Last name is Ziede. There's nobody else on LinkedIn with that last name. And then my website is ftzinc.com. So it's my initials and then Inc. because I'm a company of one. Yeah. So I'm an LLC of me. And you're going to keep it that way. Well, yeah. We'll see. You like that though, right? I would love an assistant. Let me be clear. Okay. But you don't want to scale it to some I'm not that business. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely trying to pattern my journey or road off of what I've seen successful with, people like Ryan Holiday or Vaynerchuk or Simon Sinek. They built a brand on themselves. Yes. And they bet on themselves. And if I can't bet on myself, then what am I doing? Boom. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. Appreciate you being on the show. Yeah, man. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Frank. For sure.